Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kotaku. In today's episode, we're going to interview me, and I'm not going to interview myself, so I'm going to give Nick the honor. So let's give him the mic, and let's get started.
All right. So Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Yeah, I've been living in Japan since 2008. Um, so 12 years. It's been a while. Um,
What's that like? More than a third of your life?
I'm 35. So just over a third, yeah. Um, but I like it. That's why I'm still here. And now I live in Hamamatsu, of course, and work at Suak. But before that, I lived in Aichi, in Toyohashi. I've only lived in two places, in Aichi, Toyohashi, and here in Hamamatsu. Before that, I lived in America, of course, um, in a place called Ohio. Not
Gozaimasu.
Ohio gozaimasu, right? That's the joke.
Where in America is Ohio? I'm not particularly familiar with American geography.
So America's kind of this shape, right? It's in the center area, I guess, near the Great Lakes. You've heard of the Great Lakes, maybe the Godaiko
Michigan, north near Canada, right?
near Canada, yes. So Michigan is next to Canada, and below that is a lake. I guess not tech. The lake is not below Michigan, but Ohio and a combination of Ohio and the lake are below Michigan, and uh, northeast of that is Canada. From my hometown to Canada is about 1 hour.
Okay, so winter is kind of cold then, right?
Right. It's well, yeah. Usually it's pretty cold.
Okay. Um, so if you've lived in Japan for 12 years, what made you decide to come over in 2008?
Bit of a long history, I guess, with the liking Japan and Japanese. I guess it all goes back to about the fourth grade. Um, my hometown, Toledo. Don't think I mentioned that yet. They have this language program for people who wanted to just learn a foreign language. You could go downtown and on weekends learn a language. And one of my friends went to that thing. It was just we didn't even go every week. It was just randomly. Okay, let's go this weekend. And he picked Japanese, and I wanted to go with him, so I went with him, and we studied Japanese for a summer or so. And then so I had that core understanding of the very basics, like the bottom of the and after that, in high school, my city only had one public high school that offered Japanese, and it coincidentally happened to be the high school that was in my district. So when I went into high school, I had that, oh, I already know a little bit of Japanese. I'm going to study Japanese. And plus, around that time, anime was a big thing. I think it might still be a big thing now. Um, so I was into things like Dragon Ball Z, and my friends were all, of course, as well. So I studied Japanese at high school, and from then I just that my love for Japan and Japanese just kind of grew from there.
Uh-huh. So Dragon Ball Z was a popular anime back in the day. Were you a little bit too old for the Pokemon era, or did you also follow along with that?
No, I played Pokemon Blue in high school. I remember going to high school, going in early to trade Pokemon with my friend. It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I was in primary school, but the same thing. I had Pokemon Yellow. Right. So then, uh, you had an interest in Japan, and then in 2008 you came over here as a student.
No, I came to work. I studied Japanese at university as well for the first 2 years of university, and the final 2 years, I there was I wasn't studying Japanese, but anyways, during the first 2 years, I studied Japanese, and I also during those 2 years I went to Japan twice on a. It wasn't really a study abroad. It was kind of a cultural exchange for 1 month, and we did do a very short um, internship. Not for the whole month. It was just like 1 week, um, and it was really interesting. And we stayed with the host family, and that just further grew my love and appreciation of Japan.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, uh, as you just said, you have an interest in Japan and Japanese culture. Uh, what aspect of Japanese culture do you find the most interesting?
I really appreciate a lot of things, but especially I guess this is maybe just me, but they're really in love with creating and manipulating food, I guess. They take they have their own unique adaptations of seafood. For example, sushi is a worldwide, world renowned, world famous dish, and but also they've taken and adapted other cuisines from other countries and made it their own, and those are also really delicious as well. Um, so I really appreciate that.
Hmm. Like katsudon or tempura being from
Right.
the Netherlands and
Hmm.
all right, then what about the language? You must have studied it for quite some time. What is the easiest part of Japanese for you to have learned, and what has been the most difficult?
Japanese was, as I mentioned earlier, the first foreign language that I studied, and definitely the longest that I've studied, the longest foreign language that I've studied as well. Um, I would say initially learning it in America, listening to things online and watching videos and such, clips and stuff. YouTube wasn't really a thing when I was in high school. It was around, but it was nowhere near like what it is today. Um, but I would watch clips and videos of these these Japanese anime, and so I would say, and now that I live in Japan, hearing it every day, all day, I would say that listening is probably my strongest point, and it's probably the easiest. If you really like a language, right, you try and absorb it as much as you can. But for me, I like listening to things, so um, I think I'm probably the best part of my Japanese ability is listening. Um, and after living here for 10 years or 12 years, speaking is I'm all right at speaking, but reading and writing especially are quite difficult. Japanese is very
All right, and so the hardest thing about Japanese, what has that been?
definitely kanji and reading um, the English alphabet, Latin alphabet, I guess that English uses is, in my opinion, it's far simpler and easier to use. So I just feel overwhelmed when I see and hear that there's over what 5,000 kanji. If I'm not sure exactly, but it's in the thousands, of course, right? And it's just shocking when I first heard that, and it was pretty offsetting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when well, last episode when I talked about Korea, Hangul, it's such a good writing system. You know, you can learn it in a day. Um, but you hear that before you graduate from high school in Japan, you can't read a newspaper, which is I think that's kind of ridiculous to think about. Um, I guess that's kind of the people say Polish. Until you are in your 20s, you cannot master Polish, the language. I guess it's the same for Japanese with kanji. It takes a long time to master. Um, okay, so you have been working in SUAC for 3 years. Is that correct?
This is my fourth year.
So how's your experience working in SUAC been?
It was great, actually. This is my fifth year technically. The first year I was a part-time teacher, and then after that I was given the opportunity to work in the HU Center, and you know, when I was part-time, I went into the center almost every day after my classes just to hang out because I had a first and second period class, and then it was lunchtime, and the students would come in there, and I would just go in there and hang out, and I really got to like working there and liked being in the center, and it just happened to be an opening at the center after my first year as a part-time teacher there, and I was like, wow, this I like being there, so I applied, of course, and I was able to get the job there, and I love it. Having being able to have the students come in and being able to talk with them and hang out with them during lunchtime, and uh, the school's SUAC's a pretty small school, so I have being able to have that closer relationship with all the students, getting to really know them, especially the ones that come to the center so often is it's a really great experience, and I'm glad I've had the opportunity to work there.
Yeah, I agree. It's quite a unique university in that regard. Um, alright, and you said you live in Hamamatsu, so what do you enjoy about living in Hamamatsu?
Yeah, I've been in Hamamatsu for this is my fourth year again. The first year when I was part time, I did not live in Hamamatsu. Um, I used to live in Toyohashi in Aichi. Much smaller city population wise. I'm not sure about size. I think Hamamatsu is really large size wise, but several cities. But Toyohashi kind of has some of that too, actually. I think it's not as spaced out though. But I think Hamamatsu is definitely better than Toyohashi. Sorry for all of those of you who are from Toyohashi, but personally, just a lot more going on here. It's not Tokyo, of course, but it's not too big. It's not too small. It's a really great place. Definitely need a car here. But I mean, the buses. I guess there's if you don't mind riding the bus, there's tons of buses constantly driving all over you, right? So I think that in the if you live near the Akaden line, it's maybe a car definitely helps.
Alright, so you said you've been in Japan for over a third of your life. What kind of hobbies keep you interested these days?
When I first moved here, I really wanted to try some Japanese things. So I took up kendo, and I first worked at a junior high school as an ALT. So I asked the kendo coach if I could join the team. Obviously I'm not a junior high school student at the time, but he said it was okay. So I went in and I did that with the students, and I had never done kendo in my life until that moment, so I was just as bad as the other beginner first year students. So it was really fun, and I did that for about 4 years. I got Shodan, the first Dan, and after that, I kind of, I think I hurt myself, not in kendo, but I hurt myself in another way that affected kendo. So I kind of took a step back from kendo, and I had other things going on as well. But living here, I did kendo. I also did motocross. If you ride a dirt bike, I did that for a while, but that got expensive, and I've since given up on that. But recently, nowadays, especially with the pandemic, I don't go out too much. I exercise a lot. I guess the whole time I've been in Japan, I've been into exercise. Um, I used to go to the gym, but with the pandemic, that's been a little complicated. Um, but I also play games. I pretend like I can play the guitar, and yeah,
Through that that stage.
I play the guitar every now and then. I played it last night and the night before. I have these waves, so I'll pick it up and I'll play it for a good month, and then I won't play it for 3 months at all. I won't even look at it.
Mm. When you were in kendo, did you enter any competitions?
I entered one city competition. The coach told me that there was a city. It wasn't really a competition. It was more like a for fun competition. So of course it was serious, but it wasn't like it wasn't for money or anything like or any kind of award. It was like if you won first prize, like here's a piece of paper. But I entered that and I lost in the first round. I got destroyed because the problem with joining and taking part in these sports that I don't know if it's a Japan thing or what, but there are no beginners at my age in kendo at all. If you're a beginner, you're in junior high school. I was 23, 24, 25. Um, so I was going to go up against other people that were my age because it was age based. So I actually, the very first person I fought against, I think he was a Sandan and he was like 50. And he destroyed me. It wasn't even funny.
Yeah, there's a similar story. When I was teaching in junior high school, my friend was also joined the kendo team in his high school. Same kind of thing. He asked to join the club and he practiced with the students. And he has a little bit of background fencing. Obviously, it's a little bit different. Um, his first competition, the first competitor was the Hyogo number one player. What's it called? He managed to get one strike on him.
Oh, really? On the Hyogo number one. Wow, that's impressive.
He didn't do the what's it called the kiai. He was a bit late on the kiai, so it didn't get counted. And then the second year, he was up against a 70-year-old who was I don't know what done, but it's restricted on age, right? Like, um, you how many dan are there?
I think there are 6 or 7. I'm not sure. There's more than 5.
I think he was saying that like basically they were like doing kendo for their entire lives, and yeah, so he was like, what is this? Why can't I just verse like another regular kendo club member from a school or something? Why does it have to be this 80-year-old master of kendo, and the Hyogo was number one? So he lost both times there as well. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for this week. Thank you for letting me conduct the interview, and I hope the students who watch this found it interesting.
Yeah, thank you again, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it as well. So, thank you again, and look forward to having you come and watch the next episode. So, see you later.
Bye bye.